Hello. The Watford Green Loop is a route unveiled in late 2024. On the Watford Borough Council website, it states that this route seamlessly connects key locations using the popular National Cycle Route 6, Ebury Way, and a joined-up network of cycle paths. It also states that those using the Green Loop can rely on it as a safe route to school or work, take advantage of it for shopping trips, and visit Watford's beauty spots. So let's check out the Green Loop and see if this is true. We start at the top of Casbury Park, up by Rickmansworth Road. Coming up on the left is a Beryl by the Bay, the local cycle hire scheme. I'll try to point out other Beryl bays as we go round. On our right is a 6-lane road, but we just get a shared pavement for cycling and walking. At present, the Green Loop is just new signage on old infrastructure. At the Watford Cycle Forum, Herts County Council and Watford Council have shared proposals for improvements on parts of the route, which I will talk about when we get to those locations. There is a pinch point here due to the renovation work at the Coliseum. It is also worth bearing in mind that when events are on, that path gets blocked by people queuing up to enter the venue. You can go either side of the subway to access it. The Green Loop signage sends you this way. We then enter the subway. Always take care when going down the slope due to the concealed entrance to the steps. We then go past the pond. There is a Green Loop sign on the right pointing us towards Albert Road South, which is hard to notice. All the Green Loop signs are blue, same as all the old cycling direction signs that are already on this route. Now I've slowed it down here to show the big issue with Albert Road South, which is the access road for the Sainsbury's car park. The queuing cars can block your way and block access to the dropped curb we need to use to get to the Toucan crossing across Beecham Grove. At other times it can be clear. At present, this is a 2-stage crossing. At the Watford Cycle Forum, Herts County Council officers shared that they are looking into having a single-stage crossing here. I would hope that this would be a separate walking and cycling parallel crossing, also known as a sparrow crossing. The island is small and awkward to use, especially when it is busy. In the evening and weekends, there will be cars parked all the way along this road, narrowing the usable carriageway. This was filmed on a weekday lunchtime. St John's Road is a one-way street, so at present the Green Loop is only possible in a clockwise direction. The County Council are proposing a contraflow, part protected cycle track and part shared use pavement. Note the number of cars turning into the road ahead of us. The Cycle Infrastructure Design Guidance, LDN 1/20, states that for on-carriageway cycling to be suitable for most people, the motor traffic flow needs to be fewer than 2,000 passenger car units per 24 hours, with peak hour motor traffic flow of no more than 10% of 24-hour flow. At peak hour, I think this would be equivalent to 3.3 cars per minute. As you can see in this footage, this road has too much motor traffic for most people cycling to feel comfortable sharing the carriageway with motor traffic. At rush hour, it is busier than this. There is plenty of space along St John's Road for protected cycle tracks in both directions, like those built by the London Borough of Camden on Torrington Place, part of London's Cycleway 27. But Hertfordshire County Council is only proposing a protected contraflow in one direction. As we have seen in other parts of Watford, where there are contraflows and high traffic flows in the shared carriageway, people end up cycling the wrong way in the contraflow, for example, the contraflow in Watford High Street. If a contraflow is built, I would expect the same thing to happen along St John's Road. At the Cycle Forum, County Council officers have shared proposals for this junction to include protected cycle lanes right at the junction, which would be a good improvement. We are now in Queen's Road, which has a 20 miles an hour limit, but like St John's Road, it is a through road. We will then turn left into Radlett Road, which has a 30 miles an hour speed limit and is also a through road. I would like to see a modal filter somewhere on this road to remove through traffic. In its present state, I don't think you could describe this as a safe, all ages and abilities cycle route. We then go down Ebury Road and then Shaftesbury Road, which is a cul-de-sac for cars, but a through route for people. Usually there are parked cars all the way along both sides, which make it awkward when you meet a car going in the opposite direction. We then go through Waterfield Recreation Ground. Watch out for the raised painted white line, which is a hazard when cycling. We're now on part of the Colne Valley cycle route shared path, which will take us to the Ebury Way. The River Colne is just to our left there. We'll now cross Water Lane using the pedestrian crossing. There are plans to upgrade this crossing to a shared pedestrian cycle crossing. Then into this narrow alleyway past Tesco, which is shared use. It does always seem odd to me that we have many wide, short alleyways, which are used for shortcuts, but where cycling is officially banned. But this narrow alleyway is a shared path. Take care past that entrance to Tesco on the left and the steps on the right. As you can see, the overgrown bushes are an issue along here. It then gets nice and wide for a short section up to the lower high streets. The barriers ahead are a bit annoying, but do stop people parking their cars there. You can then cross using the Tooting crossing and shared pavement, or just cycle along the road. The queue of cars going south sometimes blocks the crossing. Then we have this alleyway past the retail park, where the cycle parking is not great, just bolted into the ground. Coming up is a pinch point. Herts County Council have shared plans to widen the path just here due to the obstruction. As you can see, the road is very wide. There are also other obstacles such as signposts and barriers. We then need to cross the entrance to the car park. Under the highway code, drivers should give way to you here, but in my experience never do. Herts County Council officers have shared plans to put in a Tooting crossing here, which is a terrible idea in my opinion, as those crossing should have priority, and it would mean that those walking and cycling would have yet another begging button to press on this route. The turning into the car park has a long turning lane, which allows drivers to carry their speed into the car park, which makes this crossing dangerous. There is space here for separate walking and cycling paths. As shown in this photo, a few months ago space was taken from the carriageway temporarily, as the path under the bridge was blocked. Unfortunately, Herts County Council has no plans to put in separate walking and cycling paths here. We then have the dangerous crossing of Thomas Sowell Way into the Oxley Activity Park. You really need to look out for high-speed driving here. As you can see by the missing barriers, it is not safe here. Herts County Council have acknowledged this and have plans to slow cars down here to make the crossing less dangerous. As you've just seen, the path is too narrow by the crossing. Path here is okay when it's quiet, but the activity park is very popular at weekends when there are hundreds of children here. The activity park has been a great addition to Watford, but the path through it doesn't really work as a through route at busy times as it's difficult to navigate by bike. Meanwhile, the wider path on the other side of the river to our left has no cycling signs on it, which is accessible via the bridge we passed by the cafe. In my view, the other side of the river would make more sense as a through cycle route. There is a barrel hire bike bay in the middle of the activity park. We then use this toucan crossing. You can be held here for quite a while, and as you can see, it can get blocked. We then have this awkward unnecessary barrier, which leaves us only a 120 centimetre gap to join the link to the Ebury Way. This path was resurfaced a couple of years ago, but I don't think it was machine laid, as it is not smooth. It is also only 185 centimetres wide, which is far too narrow for two-way cycling. It should really have been widened when it was resurfaced. Most of the Ebury Way is just a mud track, so later I will show an alternative route to avoid this section. You'll also see that I've changed onto a barrel hire bike here because I didn't want to get my own bike covered in mud. The Ebury Way is a 3.5 mile disused railway line between Watford and Rickmansworth. At Watford Council Cycle Forum, we were informed that due to there being a number of different owners of the route and the various access points along it, that there is a working group looking at upgrading the whole route at the same time. As we'll see, it is not at present an all-weather, all ages and abilities cycle route. Some of the access points are inaccessible to disabled people and anyone using a non-standard bicycle, and at the Ricky end it just disappears into a narrow alleyway. As you can see by the blurry camera footage, it is very bumpy. On the left is the exit that takes you to Hampermill Lane. This exit has a discriminatory barrier which prevents disabled people from accessing the Ebury Way. It also regularly becomes impassable due to flooding. This bridge over the River Colne still has a cyclist dismount sign on it in one direction. We really shouldn't have these on cycle routes these days. There's an exit on the right there which takes you up to Moorview on the Holywell Estates. As this was recorded in winter, the path is narrower than usual due to the fallen leaves. This section is a short section which is tarmac, leading up to the crossing of Vicarage Road. At the crossing there is now a small forest of signage, the old direction signs plus a new wooden Green Loop sign. I don't think the new Green Loop signs improve the Ebury Way. As the saying goes, a sign doesn't make it better. I live close to the Ebury Way, but do not use it as a transport cycling route. To our right is King George V playing fields by the Holywell Estate, which is home to the Watford Cycle Hub, where there is also a barrel bike bay. There are a couple of exits up the embankment to our right to access the playing fields. As you can see from the camera footage, it is still pretty bumpy along here. There is no lighting along this route and parts of it are quite secluded, so there will be people who would not feel comfortable using this route after dark. The cycling infrastructure guidance states that a suitable street-lit on-road alternative that matches the desire line as close as possible should also be considered. So a bit later in this video, I'll show you an alternative route to avoid this dirt track section. The old cycling direction signs are on the left. On the right we have the new Green Loop signs. This is where we turn off the Ebury Way, where it gets very narrow. We have another toucan crossing here, another begging button to press.